Hi, Julie. I'm going to hope I can pick up from where we left off. As you recall, we were in Bridge, and I told you to select all the products. I'm going to do a Command A, and that selects all the products in this folder that I'm in. This is the old WeTransfer folder that you sent me. Bridge is showing. There's a lot of different ways to display stuff in Bridge, but got them all selected. Photoshop, gonna always go over to Tools, Photoshop, load files into Photoshop layers. Watch what happens in Photoshop. I don't know why I've been getting this message lately. Now watch what happens in this layers palette. It's importing everything from Bridge into a Photoshop file. This is way faster. I wouldn't do a lot of them, 12 at a time. Say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 is not bad. But you don't want to jam up your system with a whole lot. But they're all in one layer now. Now, what you could do is create a folder. And then you're on that folder. Grab all the layers that you want to put in that folder. Drag them there. This gets a little wonky at times, but you can see everything's in the. If you're ever in doubt, just click the triangle, see if everything's in there. So it really helps to have a name on a folder. I know that's not the name, but it's a name. And then I'm going to grab my selection tool way up in the far left there. Hold down my shift key with the normal mode of that selection tool. Any tool in Photoshop, the options are contextual to the tool. So if you have the selection tool, you'll have these options. If you have the move tool, you'll have different options. The selection tool on normal. I'm on the folder, not an individual layer. Shift, drag. I know I've got a square because I can see it over here on the right. It says 28, 25 pixels. Doesn't really matter what the size is. Now, I kind of centered on the top image that I can see. And I click on the mask tool. Boom, I've got a mask and it filled it in. If I want to see that mask or edit that mask, I can click Option, click there. If I want to get back to the images, click over on to the left. If you had a mask on this, you would have a mask over here. You'd click on the image, and this locks the position relative to the object. You can actually undo that. Anyway, so I'm going to Command click, and now all of these are cropped like this. Now, if they were off center, you might clip some of these images. I'm hoping not. I'm gonna leave this for now. There's a reason. I'm not gonna crop. I'm not gonna come up here and go image crop just yet. And I'm gonna deselect. Okay, this first product is pretty much centered. That one's not. Let's just find the center just for giggles. So I'm selecting that. Select, transform selection. That's showing me my center, regardless of numbers. And I just want to get that the up in the top left grid. You can see it's based on the center. If I clicked up at the top, you'd see that crosshair is at the top. I want it in the center. I pulled out my guides, hit return, done. Deselect, Command D. Now I know where my center is. I'm going to turn off this layer. And this product is not in the center. So I grab my move tool. I'm on layer number 2 now. You have to make sure you're on the right layer because you can actually click here and move it. Move the one you can't see. Let's move the one you can see. Pull it down. close enough for government work. I mean, it just depends on what you want centered. Oop, I just moved. See, I just moved this one. I undid it. I clicked undo. Now, I could center this part of it. Don't know how important that is. Now look, here's one. Okay, I can pull it down. And there's no clipping that happened because this image is still exists around in here. If I wanted to turn this mask off, I could control click and say disable layer mask. It would still be there, but I wouldn't see it. I'm not going to do that. Anyway, so I'm going to move all these objects. Now this one, well, I'd probably still leave it. Sooner or later, I'm going to have to resize something. That's what I'm getting at. Let's see, that one's precarious. I can't put this in the middle. Now, I could go right out to the edge if I want, but that's going to look kind of nasty because unless we eliminate the background. So let's say that I wanted to size this down a little bit. I'd be on this layer and I'd hit Command T on a Mac. Now you can see that the image does exist. Look how big it is there. So I just did a Command T and I want to constrain the proportions by clicking the aspect ratio. Click that chain. Now I'm going to hit Shift and the down arrow. It's going to take me down by 10% at a time. Click it once. Probably all I want to do. I've got approximately the equal distances left to right. I'm going to hit return to turn off the... It's not cooperating. Come on, come on. There we go. Hit return and it turns off the transform tool. Now if I want to reposition a little bit, I can. But you kind of want to have some breathing room left to right. So I excuse me, resized it. Now, if you don't mind it being off center like that, just go for it. At least we got left to right stuff. But that I wouldn't shoot it that way for that reason. I have some examples I found from another site that does some jewelry that shows some interesting ways to position the chains that I'll share with you, but not right now. So that I'd probably size smaller. I've already shown you how to size them. That's just too big. So I position it there, hit Command T. There's my sizing. Let's say that I wanted to center this is centered pretty much. I just want it to all come in smaller based on that crosshair. I just moved the center point. Now you'll notice the grid doesn't know where to go, so it's letting me do a custom one. Click the constrain the aspect ratio, shift down to 90%, works for me. I could take it down 87%. I just hit the arrow key down without holding down the shift key. I hit return. There we go. Done. Now, let's see here. See, those are getting really way off. This one's not so bad, but it's still pretty big. So Command T. And these are things you're going to have to do. Just there I didn't hold down the shift key. I only took it down. Well, I did take it down 10%. Hit return. Sometimes it lags a little bit. Let's see here if I hit if I did a levels mask on that last one, hit the option just to do that one, click there. I've got the levels. There's the levels tool like I showed you earlier, but now it's on video. I gotta select this layer. Oh no, wait a minute here. I don't. I have to select this layer. Hit the highlight tool. If you hover over it long enough, it will say to set the white point. But bam. But then you got to do it to everybody. You can't just do it to one. But, and if I didn't want it on, just turn that level off, okay? Now, I've got a whole bunch of images all centered on the same crosshairs. Now, if I'd cropped this earlier, there are times that all these images would be cropped. I would have removed some of the chains on some of them. So that makes life difficult. You might want to keep a master file at the large size. I'm going to hit save. Let's see here. What do I do? Oh, it says untitled one. Okay. So I'm going to say save as. Product master video. It's on Photoshop, layers. I don't know about this color profile thing. I'm just leaving it alone. Now, that's the large product master. You may have to create, depending on your batch shots, you may want to just create separate product masters for groupings of shots. You know, one size may not fit all. It pretty much fit for all these guys. Photoshop's still saving. You know, the more layers you got and the higher resolution, it's going to take you a little time to save. Now, I'm going to command, click, and it's just creating a selection there. A selection that is 2825 by 2825. I'm going to say image, crop, boom. Everything's cropped. Now, we don't want it cropped at that size. We want it to be 800 by 800. You have to go to image size. It's already at 72 pixels per inch. 800 by 800. Okay. Now, it looks really teeny tiny. Double click on the zoom tool. Double click, it brings you back up to 100%. It'll always do that. At 72 pixels per inch, 100%, it's going to be very similar to what's going to be on the website, on any website. So now I've got image size is 800 by 800, just like I did. Scale styles, scale constraint proportion, resample image is usually what you want. Now, you've got everything cropped. Now, what I would probably do here is say save as, and say, I usually put I put a number in there so I know what the resolution is. You could even put PX if you want. Say save. Okay. Now, I've got all these little devils in there. At this point, I don't even need, I could take all of these out of that folder. But why? Doesn't matter. I could turn all these off underneath, but you can't see them anyway. It's only going to print this one. Now, to hide your grid marks, if you want to hide them, it's Command and the semicolon. Turn them on and off. Now, file, save for the web. Here's your image. It's not as white as we would like it. But if you make one white, you gotta make them all white. So, you know, until we figure out how much time we want to put into it, this image isn't really worth all that editing. I will point out, if you notice, a lot of these images, there was something on the plexiglass, fuzz or something, and it's in a lot of them. It's just the way it is. It was on the original. It's just there. So It was something in that area, and I saw it pick up on a lot of photos. So even if you tried to knock out the background, it wouldn't go out. So I've got JPEG. I'm just leaving it at 60, the quality. I don't know about progressive or not progressive. Just say save. And then you're going to have to name it. And it never goes where you want it to. So you have to find, this is that desktop folder I had. I'm going to call it exports. Call it video. Just so that you know what it is. Create a folder there. Now it will always go there. Once you do one, and say, whoops, db100.jpg, right? It's db100. So save there. Turn it off. Do it again. File. Save for web. If I click on that, it'll give it the same name as the other one, but then I can just go 101. Images only, custom, all slices. There's no slices in this image. Boom. Whoops. I hit the magnification tool. Save the web. Save. We're in that directory. This is 102. I have it on good authority because it's right there in my layers palette, right? Boom. Here's 103. So I think you get the idea now. Once you get this all set up, it's you know, it rocks and rolls. And once you get there's probably an hour or so of getting set up, you know, figuring out how this is done, and then it all starts going at a mind-numbing speed. And that's how it's done. Now I'm going to save this video for you. I'm going to send it to you, and this you can have for posterity, but we can go over this in person later today.